Hello, Thyroid Thrivers. I'm Ginny Mahar from Hypothyroid Chef, and today we're going to make a bold and flavorful meal that is packed with thyroid and gut-supporting nutrients and absolutely delicious. It's my Ginger Scallion Meatballs with Miso Carrot Dipping Sauce. These are perfect as an appetizer, but we love to serve them over rice or cauliflower rice at our house for a satisfying and family-friendly meal. There's just something really fun and I think appealing for kids of all ages about like having a dipping sauce. And this one is super tasty. It's really bright. It's based on those addicting Japanese steakhouse dressings. And this is one of my family's favorite feel-good meals. You're gonna love it. So let's dig in and get cooking. All right, so we're gonna start with the Miso Carrot Dipping Sauce. Now, I've included the link to the printable recipe in the video description, but just a note, in this video, I'm gonna be making a half batch, which will yield about 1 cup of dressing. But the printable recipe makes 2 cups. I do recommend making that much. I was short on carrots today, so I didn't want to make a trip to the store. So I'm just going to do a half a batch. It'll be plenty for us, but chef's choice on how big of a batch you make. So for our half batch, we're going to combine all the ingredients in a high-powered blender. You can also use a food processor. So what we've got here for our dip is about 2 tablespoons of avocado oil, 2.5 tablespoons of seasoned rice vinegar. And then we've got about 1.5 teaspoons of mirin. This is a sweet Japanese rice wine. So that's gonna add some complexity if you don't have any on hand or don't wanna cook with anything containing any trace amounts of alcohol. You can just substitute with water. That's perfectly fine. And then we've also got 1.5 teaspoons of toasted sesame oil. It's gonna give it a lot of nice nutty flavor. And then of course we've got our carrots, about 1/2 cup, 1/4 cup of diced celery, and 1/4 cup of chopped apple. And then about 1 tablespoon of finely minced fresh ginger. We'll do a little pinch of white pepper, one of my favorite kind of secret seasoning ingredients. This is just gonna give it a little bit of bite. Love white pepper, but you always wanna, go less is more with that. And the star of this dipping sauce is this chickpea miso. We're gonna add about 1.5 tablespoons of this to our blender. And miso is one of my favorite ingredients. It's a really interesting one too, flavor-wise, because it adds so much umami. But this is a fermented product, so it's probiotic rich and it's full of gut health benefits. So miso is this really salty umami fermented paste that's made using a probiotic starter called koji. And the really interesting thing about miso is that it can be made from lots of different things. Most traditionally, miso is made from soybeans, which can be somewhat troublesome for a lot of thyroid thrivers. It's just a common dietary trigger. It's a common food allergy. But it can also be made sometimes from barley, and that's another kind of tricky one because barley is a gluten-containing grain, and so many of us find that we feel a lot better without gluten in our lives. So that's why I really like this chickpea miso. It's gluten-free, it's soy-free. You still get all those probiotic benefits, and it also has a really nice mild taste. You can see that it's kind of blonde in color here, and that's another interesting thing about miso is that there's different types of miso, like mellow white miso or a much more intense dark red miso. And typically the darker they are, the more intense the flavor. Chickpea miso is going to be perfect because we don't want anything too crazy flavor-wise. We want it to sort of blend in with those other the bright vinegar, the sweet apple, the earthy carrot, the celery. This is gonna just really meld with all those ingredients really well. So we do want a miso that is on the mellower side for this recipe. So just when you're purchasing miso, be sure and read those labels. Make sure that it works for your dietary needs. If you can find it though, this chickpea miso, it's organic, it's from Miso Master. I absolutely love it. I always keep this on hand. I use it for dressings. You can make a quick miso soup with it. I also love to smear it on some gluten-free avocado toast. It's so, so good. So, by the way, this is just one of over 130 delicious, health-supportive, nutrient-dense foods that you can find on my free thyroid-friendly grocery guide. So if you would like to grab that 2-page PDF download, you can find the link for that in the video description. All right, so that's all there is to it. We just tossed everything into our blender. We're gonna mix this up until it's velvety smooth. I have a tablespoon of water here just in case we need it to thin it out, but we'll get blending and see how it goes and then give it a taste. All right. Oh, yum. This smells amazing. I don't think we're going to need to add any water to this batch, but it's really great as a salad dressing or a drizzle. So if you do want to thin it out, that's perfectly fine. I would just recommend adding a little bit of water. So let's give it a taste, make sure we got our seasoning right. You can see that's just a beautiful, vibrant, kind of yellow-orange color. Such a wonderful balance of flavors. It's got that vinegar zing, the salty umami from the miso, that gingery bite, and then the apple, celery, and carrot. Really interesting how that just adds so much delicious like backbone for these flavors. So I'm gonna pour this into a jar here and we'll set that aside and get going on our meatballs. Okay, now that we've got our dressing mixed up, we're gonna go ahead and make our meatballs. So this mixture is super aromatic. It's loaded with anti-inflammatory ginger and garlic, just super tasty. So in a large mixing bowl, we're gonna combine all of our aromatic and seasoning ingredients first. So we've got a couple tablespoons of chopped fresh ginger, 1 tablespoon of finely minced garlic, 3 chopped green onions. Sometimes I'll add a jalapeno to this mixture for a little bit of spice. I'm gonna skip it today. We've got 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. I'm using Red Boat fish sauce. I like that brand because it's very clean, doesn't contain any weird preservatives or other ingredients. And then we're gonna do a 1/4 teaspoon of fine white pepper, and about a 1/2 teaspoon of fine sea salt. And last but not least, we'll chop up about a cup of fresh cilantro. All right, now that we've got everything in there, we're gonna go ahead and just give it a stir to blend everything together. And then we're gonna add a pound each of pasture-raised ground chicken and pasture-raised ground pork. Then we can just blend this together with our clean hands. And once this is all mixed up, we'll roll it into 1-inch balls and then put them on a rimmed baking sheet. One thing you can do to keep the meatball mixture from sticking to your hands is wet your hands or oil your hands. So I've got a little bit of avocado oil here I'm gonna use to keep this mixture from sticking, because a lot of times when you're working with ground poultry, it can be a little bit sticky. All right, now since I oiled my hands, these are looking like they have a nice sheen of oil on them. If you're not doing that, I would suggest brushing the tops with a little bit of avocado oil before we pop them in the oven. And we're gonna be broiling these, which is one of my absolute favorite ways to cook meatballs. It's just easy, low mess, low maintenance, and they'll get a nice like crusty brown top. They'll just be so easy to do this way. But one thing to keep in mind with that method is you don't want to put parchment down if we're cooking under the broiler, because we don't want it to ignite. So we'll pop those in the oven for about 7 to 10 minutes on high broil. And where we want them in the oven is not on the very top rack. We actually want them on the upper third rack. So there's a little bit more distance between the heat element and the top of the meatballs. That's gonna help us make sure that the meatballs are nice and fully cooked. They're golden brown on top and cooked all the way through without scorching. All right, these look just perfect. Just pulled them out from under the broiler. And while those were in the oven, I got some accoutrement together to go with our snack or light meal. Now we're actually going to have this for dinner tonight. Now we're probably going to cook up a pot of rice to round out this meal, give it a little bit more substance since I'm feeding a hungry teenager and a husband. But for now, we've got some sliced cucumber, some apple, some celery. Carrot sticks are great with this. We just want like some different dippers that we can enjoy with our dipping sauce and these meatballs. Sugar snap peas are also really great. Radishes would be really nice. Just whatever you have on hand, but all of these things are really nice dipped in that sauce along with our meatballs. All right, doesn't that just look so healthy and clean and delicious, packed with nutrients, lots of protein, lots of fiber, lots of color. Let's give these a taste. So delicious. Such a great flavor combination with the dipping sauce and the meatballs. And then, of course, we've got all our tasty dippers, apples, avocado. So you can serve this however you want, but this is just kind of a fun like salad alternative or a wonderful lunch, light meal, snack, appetizer. You could put together a big party tray with these. Lots of different ways that you can serve this. So you can find this recipe and so many more thyroid-friendly recipes like it on the Hypothyroid Chef blog. I'll put the link to this in the video description so you can grab this one. And if you'd like to learn more about thyroid-friendly eating and all the wonderful, colorful, anti-inflammatory foods we can eat, please check out my free thyroid-friendly grocery guide at hypothyroidchef.com/grocery. It's full of ideas that will help you just kind of imagine what thyroid-friendly meals and snacks can look like. And you'll have that, list that you can tack up inside your kitchen cupboard or on the fridge or whatever, put it in your purse, take it to the grocery store with you when you're trying to come up with meal ideas. All right, thanks so much for watching. I'm Ginny Mahar, your thyroid health and cooking coach, wishing you happy cooking, happy thriving, and the best of health. See you next time.